Hi, welcome to the Coastal Business Channel. This is Laura. Today we're going to talk about how to increase your volume by 85%. I wasn't going to use my fingers, but I don't have 85 fingers. So why is sales important? Why is sales volume important? So the more sales volume you have, generally speaking, translates into more revenue. So we're going to look at the sales metric of volume, or the metric of sales volume, and see how we can increase your sales volume, because that's going to be able to increase your closing and your revenue. So here we go. Sales volume, easily enough, is the amount you sell. So this sales metric focuses on the actual revenue dollars that you get for selling your product. And then from there, you're going to kind of go down and look at your overall revenue. But the driver of sales is the sales volume, right? How many people do you get in the door? So we can focus on different metrics around that. But one of the best ways to look at sales volume is to measure the new clients or customers. And I know in my business, whether I was at Morgan Stanley or for myself, I'm looking at new clients. That's pretty much how I judge myself. Am I doing a good job? Am I working on my sales? It is very important I spend a significant amount of time retaining my clients, but it's also very important that I continue to work on sales. So I'm going to be going over 13 pieces of advice for sales. Now, some of these are going to pertain to you and some of these might not. So number one doesn't necessarily pertain to me, and that is collect sellers worth buying from. So when you are looking to hire people, you want to hire people that you would buy from. And you have to determine what qualities in that person are most important that you think are going to make them a good seller if they haven't sold before. So I will tell you, number one, I do have a video on this, and that's, in prospecting, but you need to have someone who's trustworthy. So when you are looking to hire, does that person come across to you as a flamboyant salesperson and, they're full of jargon, but you're not really sure kind of where they stand because they're kind of all shifty and moving all over the place? Or is this someone that is looking directly at you, talking to you, so you believe the truth of what they're saying? And number two is, can they connect with you? So if they can connect with you, if they're doing a good job selling themselves to you in a comfortable, calm, quiet, trustworthy way, then they're going to be able to sell your product. Number two is marketing. So are you utilizing social media? Are you utilizing word of mouth? When you go out in public during business hours, or just even in general, you don't want to go out in the evening, be surrounded by people that could potentially be buyers and make a fool of yourself. So are you presenting yourself and your company and your product in your everyday marketing in the way that you believe is going to generate sales? And you can track this. This is something that is very easy to track. I actually started putting stuff on Facebook, and funny enough, I got a client via Facebook, which I found shocking. I really didn't think somebody would contact me via Facebook. You really just don't know. So as long as you're putting out a consistent and professional message about your product, then I think you're able to generate sales through that. Number three is, when you get a prospect turned into a client, are you getting them the results they want? And sometimes your results might not be exactly what you want. We had a down year in the market last year, so that wasn't a result that my clients wanted, but my communication was good, adjusting their portfolios along the way, letting them know what my thesis was and why I was necessarily holding on to a stock that had gone down, like Nvidia, just tumbled last year. Now it's back up, but I held on to it, and I had my reasons for holding on to it. So I was able to communicate this with my clients. So depending on, what you're selling, you need to make sure your clients are having the results that they want. So if you're selling, a vacuum cleaner, if you want to be a top-notch salesperson, I follow up with that person after they bought it. Are you happy with your product? If you're an automotive person and your product is fixing cars, follow up with the people. How is the headlamp doing that we fixed? I don't know, cars. Sorry. I should have stayed away from that one. You do want to make sure that you are having a conversation, especially if it's something that you're fixing a car, because that could be a repeat customer. So if you follow up and you're asking them how the car's doing off of what you fixed, they're going to remember that, because how many people have called us up or my husband up after they fixed something with our car to make sure that we were happy with it? I'm going to probably say 0, although there might be one Audi person that fixed our Audi. He was amazing when we went to him. He talked to my husband, they talked car shop. He spent the time learning my husband about the other concerns he had with our car. He was wonderful. So I would imagine, just knowing his personality from that day, that he would have called up to see it. But if not, he left such an impression with me, who doesn't even care about cars, that I would go to him to fix a car, whether it's an Audi or not. I just think that he's very honest, and he gave that off. So that is something to keep in mind. When you are in a desperate state to increase your sales, you might want to make an incentive. Give a discount. If you buy this, you get this. There are ways that if I have a prospect that's on the fence for certain reasons, there's ways I can incentivize them. I do have to follow FINRA and the SEC to make sure it's all legal with what I am incentivizing. But there are ways I can communicate more frequently with you is probably like the easiest way that I can kind of incentivize someone. I do give complimentary financial plans, so that's a way that someone can get to know me before actually committing to work with me. But there are probably ways that you can incentivize someone to become a client, and maybe it's a trial period, which to me is I view the financial plan. One, is ridiculously beneficial to people to have one, but 2, it's a way for them to kind of get a trial, get to know me, get to know the way I think and the way I manage my business before they have to fully commit. Number 5 is to give your clients more of what they want. Not necessarily easy in the financial world because they want more money, and I can't just poof, there it is. But if you're dealing with other products, there's something, honestly, I would tell you, if we go back to the car thing, having my car fixed, what I would want more of from the mechanic fixing my car. Obviously, the standard is you need to fix my car, but that's the expectation, right? The expectation is I'm going to leave the shop with my car fixed. If you're doing more, you want me as a repeat customer, you want me to tell all my friends, oh my God, this amazing experience I had at this car fix-it place, and it's probably not called that, is when they not necessarily explain everything to me, because I really don't, I want my car fixed. I don't want a lesson in automotive repair, but I want someone who listens to me and listens to my concerns, and then maybe is able to give me a little bit of what went wrong. Or, if someone is really good at feeling out how much information does Laura want about what we did to fix her car. So if they're good at reading me, right, and you're going to start talking about spark plugs and wires and stuff, you're probably, going to kind of see me, gloss over. I'm going to look over there. I'm going to look over here. But if you're going to tell me, look for this when you're, oil heat, I guess the oil is one indicator and the temperature of the engine is another indicator. I do know that. But if they could explain it to me and this is what you need to look for because you're going to need an oil change, but look for these things and then bring your car in and we'd be happy to change your oil. I don't know if there's something like that exists. I don't know cars, obviously. But if there's something that he could explain to me to look for, or what maybe, 2 months from now, you're going to need a new tire, look at your tire, it's all flat here, something, that he explained it to me at the level that I'm going to understand and I'm not glossing over. But it's going to make me feel good. Like, this guy cares. And he took the time. He took, 5 minutes of his time to explain to me what I need to look for so I could bring my car in so it remains safe for me to drive my kids around. That would be really helpful. And he's won me over. And guess where I'm taking my car when I need tires? I'm taking it to him because he's really nice and he explained it to me and made me feel more comfortable with driving my car around for the next couple of months until I need to get new tires. Number 6 is a little bit different. This is, if you're actual true salesperson with territories, shake up your territories. So if you are somebody and you're selling in New York and New Jersey, and then your buddy at the same company is selling, Southern New Jersey and Pennsylvania, see if you can shake it up. Some people relate to certain people better. Just because I'm a great salesperson in Pennsylvania and they're a great salesperson in New Jersey, it's possible that they're missing sales because who they are and their personalities don't mix with everybody in New Jersey and don't mix with everyone in Pennsylvania. But if you swap it, you're liable to get more sales because of different personalities. Now, hopefully you're tracking the sales. So, Mr. Pennsylvania knows who he missed in Pennsylvania, and Mr. New Jersey knows who he missed in New Jersey, so you can kind of swap. And in this day and age where a lot of stuff happens over Zoom or over the phone, a lot of times you're staying in Pennsylvania making phone calls to New Jersey and vice versa. It's not costing anyone any additional money. And if you can get that meeting, if you can get that lead, it might make sense to travel to New Jersey from Pennsylvania and go get that client. Number 7 is to set clear goals. I will tell you, I have been struggling these first couple weeks of January. I have a son home sick with COVID. I've been waking up feeling really horrible with headaches. I had goals for myself each afternoon. I usually spend about 4 hours, roughly 4 hours prospecting. And it's not all making calls and all that, but sometimes it's just following up. And I do get, those 4 hours are interrupted with other phone calls. So maybe 2 hours actually goes towards prospecting. I think I've spent 1 hour in the last 2 weeks, I guess 8 days or what have you, because I've been feeling really pretty crappy. But, and to be honest with you, it's hard for me to get motivated to make phone calls when I'm feeling really low energy or I have a headache. The other day I was speaking to a client and I kept flubbing words. So I do know that there is a frame of mind and energy I need to have, but you have to set goals. And I do have goals for myself, and I do have daily goals, and I do have weekly goals. My daily goals a lot of times will go out the window, and I really will aim more for the weekly goals because I do have off days. So if you know yourself, if you're able to go 5 days a week, doing your prospecting and your sales, great. If you're like me and you have these days that are off, I actually have a splitting headache right now, and I'm just waiting for my migraine medicine to kick in, and it's something I've dealt with my whole life, so a lot of times I can kind of ignore it. But yeah, it is hard when you're not feeling well to sit down and do sales, because for me at least, it takes a lot of energy to do it. I love it, but it does take extra energy. So my daily goals will go out the window, and then I have a weekly goal. Last week I did not even come close to my weekly goal, so now I'm going to really focus on my monthly goal, and I'm going to try to kind of get my monthly goal by doing a little bit extra. I'm going to have to do extra this week, which is probably not going to happen because this week's been hard. But I'll have to do a little extra, at the end of this week. And that's partly why I have 4 hours slated for sales, because I might only do 2, I might do 0. So then I do need to do 4. I'll probably need to do 4 hours next week, all week, to try to meet my goal. I do have sales meetings coming up, so that's always nice too. I have a very high close percentage when it comes to actually meeting with people, so that kind of makes me feel good too. So my pipeline is still kind of activated. Sometimes my pipeline dries out, and I do have to have my goal for the day, goal for the week, and just say you are sticking with this and do that. So that's number 7. Number 8 is to prioritize coaching and feedback. I will tell you, I have had calls that I've made and I immediately get, I'm not interested. And sometimes, if they sound friendly and I can kind of read people over the phone and they say, oh, I'm not interested, I have somebody already, or I do it all myself. If they're willing to talk to me, I'll ask them, how do you think I did on the call? What do you think I can do better? I brought a client on. I kind of went across the grain of how I normally bring clients on. So I said to him, do you mind if I ask you? I'm trying out these different sales techniques. What did you think about me doing this? And that's when you have a rapport with someone. It's possible, if you're not a solo entrepreneur like I am, and you work in a company, that you can have someone, can you listen in on my call? Can you go to the meeting with me? Can you tell me about my sales? I actually got no feedback from Morgan Stanley whatsoever about my sales, but that was because I was doing really well. I think maybe if I wasn't doing well, somebody would have stepped in and, I'd like to think somebody would have stepped in and helped me out. But maybe there is someone at your company that can step in and help you out. Number 9 is to improve your onboarding. Number 9 is to improve your onboarding process. My onboarding process is dictated by Raymond James, who's my custody and clearing, and Capital Securities, who does my brokerage. So it's very much dictated by FINRA and what information you have to gather and all that. But if your onboarding process isn't dictated by somebody or a governing body, look at your onboarding process and look for ways where you can streamline it. I mean, I get really frustrated going to the medical office and every form wants my address. It's like, really, are you kidding me? Because you're just going to type it into a computer, right? And then you're going to have it there. So it's a very frustrating process. I do love the ones that have the iPads and it just moves the information forward and you don't have to write everything the same thing, especially when I take the trip list to the doctor. Oh, I gotta just, oh really? So I gotta write my address 9 times. But look where you can streamline your onboarding process. Talk to your clients. Like when someone becomes a client and you sell a product, what did you think about my onboarding process? Like that's where you're gonna get coaching and feedback. So now you got the client, how can you make it better? I did have somebody years ago at Morgan Stanley, like, I believe it was excused, but not like the application process and all the paperwork and stuff. And I kind of was like, it's dictated by FINRA. So Regulation BI, the 126-page document, is not something that we get to choose whether we send it or not. And we don't get to choose what's in the document either. So try to look for ways that you can streamline your onboarding process. Number 10 is improve your sales velocity. So I don't know how much I can improve my sales velocity in terms of trying to get people to close quickly. I feel that once I start pressuring someone, I lose the sale. I very much am trying not to pressure unless there's a reason. Like there's somebody that, there actually was somebody recently that I said, look, it's in your best interest to come in January and get the, December 31st statement from where you are. So that way, tax-wise, it's going to be much easier for you than if you come mid-December. I did have someone come in mid-December, which I thought was surprising because I also advised them to wait till January, but he was fine with it. So, so velocity, speeding up that close, I look more to increase my volume. So I look more to increase my prospecting volume than necessarily increase how much I sell. But if you are in a business where you can increase that sales volume, if you have a very long onboarding process, if you can shorten that and close that quickly so you can move on to the next one, that's going to increase your sales velocity. That would be super helpful. I'm not really in that situation where I'm able to do that, but maybe you are. Look at your sales training process. If there is, if you have someone that's in charge of creating the prospects, someone that goes out and does the sale, someone that's in charge of onboarding, if you have that separated in your organization and these people don't get along very well, or the communication for whatever reason is messy, that's creating a lot of friction. That's creating noise. That's actually going to lower your sales velocity. It also potentially is going to create issues for the salesperson that's supposed to actually go out and make the sale. If he's so busy with this other stuff, it's decreasing his ability to continue to go out there. Is decreasing his sales velocity, is decreasing the volume of sales that he's able to go after. So look at your training, look at ways to make sure that these people get along well. If they don't, maybe you need to mix it up because it's definitely hurting you in your sales. These tips are going to help you and your team get on the path to increase sales. Go back over this video and look at what you can do. There are some things that if you do are dramatically going to increase your sales. And number one is the volume. You need to get the volume. You get that volume. I believe for me, it's a numbers game. And for me, it takes, thousands of calls to get one meeting, and I'm willing to make those calls. So the people that are willing to go that extra mile to get the client are the ones that are going to be successful. So look for who you hire, look for how you train them, look for the team. Is there friction? Is there not friction? So there's certain things that are easy to do. And then clean up that onboarding process. Make sure it's streamlined. Make sure that salesperson can make that sale and hand it off and go to make the next sale. If you have someone who's the rainmaker, let them make rain. Let them do it. Let them run wild. But you also have to make sure that if they run wild, that you have the capacity to service all the clients that person's bringing in. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.